Hello everyone and welcome to the Xero bookkeeping software. This software is quite interesting and nowadays is a very popular because the software is a cloud based, so that means you can work from home from anywhere. As long as you have access to the internet and to the computer, you'll be able to work anywhere if you use Xero. And that's the reason it's become most popular day by day. So let's have a look what we're going to learn from this course. So this will say using accounting software with Xero. If you study level 2 on AAT, maybe this will be one of your paper on the level 2 when you learn accounting software. So let's talk about little bit Xero, what it is. It says Xero is a cloud-based accounting platform. So when it says cloud-based, that means the software is on the cloud. It's not on your computer. So obviously all the data will be stored on the cloud. That means from anywhere you access, the data will be here on the cloud, not on your computer. So even though your computer is crashed or something happened with the hard drive, you are not going to lose any data because the data will be restored on the cloud. Then this software is mainly used for the bookkeeping purpose and for the small businesses. Now when I say the small businesses, still we're talking about the £1 million transaction. So small business doesn't mean only a few thousands, it means million. It says it allows a small business owner to connect to their bank, their advisor and their other software they use in their business all from one platform. That means if you are the owner of the business, you can connect the bank. So that means anything to your bank. For example, if you spend some money from the bank or if there any money into the business, the Xero will be automatically connected to the bank. For example, let's say you have spent £5 from your bank today, and this £5 will be automatically as expense automatically come to Xero. So you really don't have to do anything. All you need to do, you need to connect the software with your bank and all the bank feeds will come automatically to the software. Then they said with the advisor, that means if you have an accountant, maybe he don't sit on your office or maybe he is not work with you at the same place, so you can connect your advisor. So even the advisor live far away or maybe in different countries, and he will be able to access to your company data and will be able to work, will be able to update the invoice, anything he wants. So you can add someone as advisor and he will be able to access from anywhere on the world. Then the meaning of this one, other software, that means you will be able to import the information from the Excel. For example, if your data is on the Excel, you'll be able to import all this data into the Xero. So from all point of view, Xero is a wonderful way to manage your business through bookkeeping till to see the report. All right, let's have a look what we're going to cover from this course. So we can see we're going to start with the introduction. So introduction will tell us what we can do with the Xero, what we cannot do, that we have already explained. So Xero is a bookkeeping software, and obviously for all sort of bookkeeping purpose we will be able to use the Xero. The next thing we're going to learn, that is getting set up. Getting set up means how I'm going to set up my business. For example, name of the company. For example, if I have a different trading name of the business. For example, if my company have a VAT return quarterly, annually, so VAT return, then the VAT rate. So all of this we're going to see from this getting set up. So we have to set up our business first before we start working for the transaction. Then we're going to see the next point, that will be contacts. On the contacts, we're going to see the contacts for the supplier and the contacts for the customers. So we're going to see how can we create a supplier account and how can we create a customer account. So from this area, from the contact section, we're going to learn everything about the supplier and the customer. The next section we're going to cover, that is called chart of account. Chart of account is very important because every single expense or asset business we have to categorize it based on the charts of account. Now the chart of account, the code of the chart of account could be vary software to software. So for the Xero, we'll have some set of code, but if you like to make your own code, you can always make it. For example, let's say for the fixed asset, if you like to make a code for 200, you can make it. If this code is not taken, you can always use it for one of the fixed asset if you like. So chart of account will be the breakdown of every single income, expense and asset we have. So we can see how many sort of income and expense business have, and based on the requirement we can create our chart of accounts. So you're going to see everything from there. The next section you're going to see that is called conversion balances. That's very wonderful. Conversion balance, basically the trial balance from the previous accounting period. So let's say up to last period I never used any software. Let's say I had all the information on my Excel, but from this year I have decided to use the Xero. So all the opening balance I have from the last year I'm going to use here on the conversion balance so that my opening balance exactly match, and I have the data or information from the last year so that my balance sheet will carry on. For example, in 2010, let's say in 2010 I never used any software, or maybe I had like different software, for example Sage, and from 2011 I wanted to use Xero. Now all this trial balance I have from 2010 I'm going to input here in Xero on 2011 so that my balance sheet have the right balance, because the balance sheet will be connected with the previous trial balance. Then we have a sales ledger. The next section is all about the sales ledger. Sales ledger about the customer balance, the credit customer. So how can I create the credit customer? So obviously when I buy something on credit, I create the sales ledger account. So how can I raise the invoice to them? How can I sort out the credit note if I need to issue to my customer? So all of this thing we're going to see from the sales ledger. The next section we have, that is purchase ledger, and the purchase ledger is all about the supplier. So if I buy something from my supplier on credit, I have to create the purchase ledger, and I have to sort out the credit note as well if I receive any credit note from my supplier. So from this section we're going to see how can I how can I create the supplier, and how can I allocate my credit note against the different invoices. The next section we have a bank, that is very important. In this section we're going to see how can I add my bank into Xero. Now maybe if I don't have the online banking, or if I don't have the connected way to Xero for the bank, what I can do, I can manually input all the bank information into Xero. So I have a two option. Either I can connect my bank straight away to Xero, or I can create a different bank account and I upload all the information manually. So Xero will allow me to open a different sort of bank account, even though the petty cash, even though the credit card, I'll be able to create an account for every single bank or different financial option I have into the Xero. So from the bank section we're going to see how to create a bank, how to import all this information into the Xero from the bank. Then the next section we have customer payment. So all the credit customer I have from the sales ledger, in future they will make the payment. If they make the payment, we have to reconcile the payment against the invoice. So from this section we're going to see customer will keep paying us, and how can I allocate this payment against the invoices. Likewise, supplier payment. When I make a payment to my supplier, I have to allocate the payment against the invoices. So from this section, from the supplier payments, I am going to see how can I allocate the payment to the individual supplier. Then the repeating transaction. Repeating transaction is all about when we have the same transaction every month. For example, let's say standing order. Let's say you have to pay the rent every month, same amount, same person, and for certain time. For example, let's say you have to pay the rent every month for the next 12 months. So rather than create the invoice every month, you can choose the repeating transaction, and this one will help you to create the invoice, or this one will help you to create the bills or make the payment automatically. So if you tell the software this is the one you want to create a bill or expense for the rent every month first, and the rent will be due by 14 days or 15 days. So if you give the instruction to your Xero will automatically create the transaction. Then the petty cash, the small expenses that we make a payment for small expenses, small items, for example, for the tea, coffee, stationery. So we'll be able to create an account for the petty cash, and from this account we'll be able to see how much money have spent for the petty cash, how much was the VAT, and how much is the balance left, everything. Then we have a journal. The journal section mainly used for the adjustment. So that means when I have to do some adjustment manually for any reason. For example, I want to reduce some balance, I want to increase some balance, or for example, it could be the year-end adjustment, for example, depreciation. For example, I have to make a journal for the closing inventory. So any sort of journal, for example, accruals on prepayment. So all the journal I have to do manually, you're going to see from this section, journal. And finally, the most important part is the bank reconciliation. So once we have entered all of this, I need to see my bank is agree with all the transaction. The very wonderful thing we have in the Xero, that is we will be able to see the accounts transaction. That means what we have on the bank we'll be able to see here, so that exactly we can look at our bank statement and try to match one by one with the Xero. And after that we expect my bank will be reconciled. That means my Xero balance and my bank balance will be reconciled against each other with the income and the expense. And finally, we'll be able to see sort of reporting. For example, profit and loss account, for example, balance sheet or statement of financial position. All of this report, there is a lot of report we have in the Xero, depends on your organization. So on the reporting section, we'll be able to see all these things. So this will be our course structure or syllabus. So from this course, we're going to learn all of this. After we have completed all this section, we'll be able to know everything about the bookkeeping. So how to create the customer, how to take the payment, how to create the supplier, how to enter the credit note, how to connect the bank, how to reconcile the bank, every single thing we're going to learn. So once you have done these courses, you'll be able to tell anyone, I know how to do the bookkeeping in the software. Now, the bookkeeping in the software more or less is same any software you use, but sometimes the section is not in the same place, or maybe the general code is not same, but other than the story is same. So if you already know some bookkeeping on the software, that will be really easier for you. Even not, we're going to learn step by step very slowly, and every single section we have a lot of example, and we're going to follow that example so that we understand how can actually when you're going to work in the company, I will be able to work perfectly without any problem. And definitely that will help you to build up your confidence, and you will be able to work as a bookkeeper any company you like. So hopefully on the next section we're going to see our getting set up. So start making a company, and from there we'll see how can we set up an organization on the Xero.